there's not a lot of trust in there with Boris Johnson. There's no trust in there with the Conservatives, and we cannot just accept the Conservatives getting up there with this, putting this deal forward, this sellout deal, and simply saying you must trust us, you must trust us. That isn't any trust, Iain. It's remarkable.
But there is one way to solve this, of course, and that is for there to be a general election where Boris Johnson puts his arguments to the country for the deal, you put your arguments to the country, and then the electorate decide who they want to take this forward. Do you think an election is looking more likely now than it was 24 hours ago?
Well, what I would say is that the Labour Party are ready for an election, come what may, come
you don't
when.
seem to want one, though. I mean, that's what I think a lot of people don't understand.
Well, Iain, to be fair, what we have said consistently is that we'll have a general election as soon as no deal is taken off the table, and we can be absolutely assured that it is off the table in basically signed, sealed and delivered from the EU, between the EU and the UK, because
hang on a second, this is important, because if they, sorry to interrupt, but if they agree an extension, say to the 31st of January, is that enough of a guarantee for you then to agree to an election?
You see, it's again down to trust. We would need, some agreement that no deal is taken off the table. We would want agreement.
But surely that's it.
No.
The extension is agreed between our government and the EU. That takes it off the table till the 31st of January.
But it's not just about an extension to the 31st of January. For example, what was said week, I think it was John Barron, the MP, suggested that he would support this deal. He supported it on Saturday as well, because he knew, and he had been guaranteed by senior cabinet ministers, that this was just a staging towards a no-deal Brexit, and we could actually fall out of the EU in 14 months' time. Whilst we're trying to discuss...
So you don't want an election for 14, months? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's...
I can't see the circumstances that you were going to agree to an election then.
Iain, that's not what I said, and that's terribly unfair. What I'm saying is we want a guarantee that the UK government and the EU will give the guarantee that there will be no deal Brexit.
Well, support this deal then. Support this deal. Surely that's the logic.
We'll put a sellout deal.
Well, you see, this is where
voters never support a sellout deal, I'm afraid.
Iain, but people listening to this will say, well, if he's so against no deal, if he thinks it'll be a complete disaster, and a lot of people think that, then surely you have to agree to a deal. Now, Boris Johnson has got a deal. Now, you can say, well, it's not a good enough deal, and we can never support a deal that Boris Johnson gets because you don't trust him. Well, then you're effectively accepting a no deal by default, because unless you have an election, you can't be in power to do your own deal.
That's not right, man. Why should we now not agree a decent programme motion agreed between the whips, and then MPs can then discuss, debate, amend, change,
which you've been doing for 3.5 years.
No, man, it's not. I'm desperate, the same as other people, to leave the EU. This isn't about extensions.
You are,
it isn't about delay. And we really do want an election, but I'm here to support the people who voted for me in my constituency, and I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to sell out. Absolutely, I'm not going to sell out to them or anybody else. I'm not an MP to make people £2,500 a year worse off. I'm not somebody who supports the fact NHS is being underinvested. I'm not here to support the fact that the education system is biased in some parts of the country and not others. I'm not here to support the fact...
But Iain, you just told me I am desperate to leave, which I think is quite something for a Labour Shadow Cabinet member to say, because that is not the policy of Labour's Shadow Cabinet, is it?
The policy of it's not the Shadow Cabinet policy, it's the policy of the Labour Party. And the policy of the Labour Party is that we want a Labour negotiated deal, and we would put a Labour negotiated deal back to the people. That's the policy of the Labour
Party.
Party.
You said I'm desperate to leave. That's not a sentence I can imagine coming out of Emily Thornberry's mouth.
No, I'm sure me and Emily might have different views on that, and we're entitled to have different views on it. But when I'm saying I'm desperate to leave, I put it in the context of the fact that I'm desperate to leave with a Labour deal and then put that in the hands of the
you personally would be arguing for that deal rather than remain?
Well, what we have said again, as chair of the party, I am bound by collective responsibility. The conference in Brighton this year agreed that we should have an election. We should then negotiate a deal. Then we should put it back in the hands of the people. And we shouldn't, before then, determine, until we know what the nuts and bolts of any details of any potential deal would be, we shouldn't determine which way the party would decide and who they would support.
I know you've got to go, but I still say that the only way that you can get a Labour deal is to have an election and Labour to be elected.
Well, what I would say, Ian, one thing's absolutely certain. We couldn't, under any circumstances, back the sellout deal put before Parliament on Saturday, and again, basically the bill which was put before Parliament today.